Hey guys, what is up? Welcome back to the Otakuology podcast. I am Otaku Mike. With me, as always, is Jin Graves.
Sup, guys?
If you are new to the Otakuology podcast, we talk about anime, manga, comics, movies, and life itself. Um, welcome if you're new. Welcome if you're old. You
Well,
know how it is.
hey, welcome if you're in the middle.
But today, we are discussing what I feel like is a classic in the anime sphere of anime. Uh, Jen, what are we talking about tonight?
We're going to talk about Riding Bean.
Writing Bean. That's right.
Which, I just had to tell you,
What?
whenever you first told me this name, I
Uh-huh.
had to sit there and be like, are you fucking with me? Because my mind completely went in the gutter with this one. I was
Oh
like,
yeah,
you're really fucking with me, aren't you? And
yeah.
then when you see him in the movie, I was like, holy shit, it is a real movie. I thought you were like
So,
pulling my leg. It was going to be a hentai or something.
yeah. So I'm gonna give you a little history lesson on Writing Bean.
Okay.
So Writing Bean is an anime original video animation, or OVA, uh, following the exploits of courier for hire Bean Bandit and his partner gunwoman Raleigh Vincent. Uh, it's the genre is action comedy. It was directed by Yosu Hagasagawa. Hagasagawa. I can't say that right.
Yeah, I'm not going to tell you
Written
that one.
by, huh?
I said, yeah, I'm not going to try and tell you that one.
Yeah, written. I got this one though. Written by Kenichi Sonata. And if you don't know who Kenichi Sonata is, he did Gal Force. He did a lot of the designs on Bubblegum Crisis. And what else did he do? I forgot off the top of my head. He did Gunsmith Cats as well. It's hard to think
Which,
off the top of my head.
which didn't you tell me this the other day that this was like a prequel to Gunsmith Cats?
Yes, kind of, sort of, a little bit. I'm not 100% sure. Like this, the same characters show up in it.
Yeah.
Like Bean shows up in Gunsmith Cats, and Raleigh Vincent is the main character in Gunsmith Cats, and there's a little bit differentiation for each one
Yeah.
because when I get into the history of this, and I'll tell you more about it, but music was by David Garfield. Studio is Aki Artmike is the studio who released this. It was released February 22nd, 1989. Runtime is about 48 minutes, give or take. So, dealing with the studio itself, or the manga itself. So, the manga was written in Monthly Comics Nosy, and it was left unfinished. Only 4 chapters were ever published of Writing Bean
Yeah.
because the manga went under. Like the comic itself went under. Like
Yeah.
the comic it ran through, they went bankrupt or something like that.
Right.
It got canceled, so it was left unfinished.
So what you're saying is like Tokyo popped it?
No, it just the Japanese comic just I guess didn't sell well.
Because they went under.
Yeah, but I mean, you can still read the 4 chapters of Writing Bean in one of the Gunsmith Cats adaptations.
Okay.
So this was left unfinished for quite some time, and it still is unfinished. But with the OVA itself, this was planned to be a TV show.
Yeah.
But Kenichi Sonata had a disagreement with the studio and basically was like, the studio was like, no, we're just releasing what we got, basically.
Right.
So there's that, and that's kind of why the movie or OVA is left up in the air and so
Right.
abruptly, I guess you could say. But anyways, let's get into this.
Heck yeah.
I almost said comic. Let's get into this movie.
Yeah.
So our movie starts out, or OVA starts out, whatever you want to call it, with these people. They were robbing.
It started
A,
out like The Dark Knight.
they're robbing like a bank, or it seemed like a store of some kind, and they're holding these people hostage. And please tell, do you know why there was a naked woman being held hostage in the very first scene? Because I don't.
I don't know if she was exactly naked
No, she was naked.
because I know that she had a top on.
I think she was naked because she was covering herself up.
She was, but I think it was like lingerie or something.
I don't know. I think she was
Because
naked.
it threw me off that she's wearing this stuff that was pink,
Uh huh.
and I had to go back and double check it because I was like, wait, so she's got that and a garter belt on. Okay, a little weird, but all right, all right.
So there, these two people are holding these people up, stealing money from them. They take the woman hostage. They kill a bunch of people. This OVA is very graphic when it comes to shooting people because
This is
people's heads
true.
explode. People's heads explode,
This is
and we
true.
see our hero slash anti-hero, if you want to call him, being Bandit, pull up in his sick, sweet muscle car, and he is the getaway driver for the criminals.
Yeah, driver for hire.
Driver for hire, kind of like Baby Driver. Have you ever seen that?
I
You
haven't.
know, you haven't seen Baby Driver? Okay. So we get this really awesome, cool car chase, and they get blocked off. And what happens next after they get blocked by the 18-wheeler, Jen?
He stops right at it, you
Uh
know,
huh.
and they tell him that he needs to move out of the way and go a different route, which we find out later that that's actually for a reason.
Yeah.
Um, but that it is sitting there, and then we have basically this big car pile up, which is
But
kind of funny to me.
what's the one of the cool things his car does?
Which one? This
Where
is the
how,
first one.
this first one? How
This is
does
the
he get
first
around
one.
the? How does he get around the big semi?
His tires turn sideways.
His tires turn sideways and he drives sideways.
Yeah, which I was like, what?
Were you like dumbfounded when you saw that? Because he uses it like several times throughout the show, the episode. You
He
know.
does. He uses like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
Uh, I don't know. I think the initial like seeing of it was like, oh wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then by like the second time you see it, you're like, well, I knew it does that. You know, and all cars should do that. You know. So
Right. Right. And so we get this scene where they're driving through like a warehouse. I think it is. And
through an alley.
is it an alley? I thought it was like a warehouse. And one of the criminals takes off their hat, their mask, and like takes off their
Their ski
jacket.
mask. Yeah, they
Yeah,
take
their
off their
ski
ski mask and
mask,
their jacket.
and this camera catches them, and you don't really think anything of it, you know. And
Oh no,
so
bullshit! I was sitting there. I was like, why is she posing for the camera? Like,
yeah, I mean, yeah, it comes up later in the show.
because I thought like initially like I thought of a bad guy. Like, why would a bad
Yeah.
guy do that? And I mean, what happened wasn't what I thought. I thought
Uh
of,
huh.
well, maybe you want to know that you want them to know that you did it. You know,
Yeah.
and so that was kind of something that threw me off. I was like, what is
Yeah.
this?
It was crazy. So they evade the cops, and Bean's like, you owe me like $47,000 or something like that, you know.
45,000.
It was like, yeah, 45,000, and they're
Yeah,
like, what?
yeah,
That's like all our money, basically.
and because they only, instead of getting like stacks of $100 bills, it was stacks of $10 bills.
Yeah, stacks of $10 bills. Yes. And so he drives off, and he's like, they're like, oh, we want to do another gig with you, basically. Like, we want to hire you again. And he's like, I don't take uh, jobs from bastards who incorporate children into their stuff or whatever, you know.
Yeah, into their robbing.
I guess he didn't know that was a child at first. I'm guessing. I don't
I
know.
I don't even think he knew them at
Yeah.
first. They probably, I
Yeah.
think how it happened is they said, "Hey, be outside the bank. We'll be the two people in ski masks."
Yeah.
And
Yeah. I
then
can see
and
that.
then when he went was when he found out, especially after she took the mask off
Uh-huh.
and all the other stuff. I think that's when it was.
Yeah.
But I kind of like his like, I don't want to call it a superhero name, like his vigilante name,
Oh,
Roadbuster.
Roadbuster?
I think that's hilarious.
Gotta get the Roadbuster.
And then, I had to think about it because, we have that scene like way in the future where he actually does bust up the road. And that was one of
Yeah.
those, like, you had to tap something and go, ha, ha, ha,
I get it.
yeah. So, but yeah, no, I think that's a cool name.
So Bean leaves, and we get this scene with the two bad guys, and we find out that that was a wig that the young girl was wearing. She has like purple pink hair, and the
Well,
man that's with,
she was also wearing a mask.
yeah, she was also wearing a mask as well.
She
Yes,
was wearing like a human face mask,
yeah,
like
it was
latex.
yeah, kind of like the whole Mission Impossible thing,
Yeah,
where you can like take it off his face and he looks like somebody else,
yeah,
type of thing. And then the guy takes off his mask
yeah,
and
and the wig.
the wig, and he spits something out, and it's a female, it's a woman.
It's a voice changer.
Yeah, it's a voice changer.
Yeah.
Did you notice the blatant like stealing of like advertisements where the girl has on a Nike
Yeah,
like windbreaker?
yeah,
It literally says Nike on it on the back. There's even like the check mark. It says Nike.
yeah.
Man, this is why I love older anime because they got away with that shit.
Right.
Like they didn't even pay for Nike to put something in there. Like, oh, we'll just throw it in there, you know.
Free advertisement. Let's use that.
Free advertisement,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, what happens next? The next day, Jin.
So then we get to the next day, and we have our main female character,
Mm-hmm.
which I can't
Riley
remember her name.
Vincent.
Riley Vincent. So we have Riley.
That's Papa Weeb's waifu right there.
So we have her wake up and start getting dressed and everything. Which,
Mm-hmm.
let me just point out this. This is weird. I'm not gonna say like I am the expert of all women or anything,
Mm-hmm.
but doesn't the garter belt usually go on after you put your panties and stuff on, not
That's
before?
that's what I thought as well.
Because that threw me off. I was like, okay, you gotta
Or, I
go.
don't. I
Because I
mean,
saw her put on the garter belt, and I was like, okay,
uh,
so she's gonna go commando. Okay, this tells us a lot about
yeah,
this
yeah,
character. And then
yeah.
I saw her put the panties on. I was like, what are we doing here?
I don't know. I've never worn women's underwear or a garter belt, so I can't tell you if that's the right way to put on underwear or a garter
Well, you know what?
belt.
We might have to have a show where we both try this. Okay,
I don't know about that.
just to know.
I don't know about that. Well, she's getting ready, making some toast, making some eggs, and Bean Bandit
Still
is
passed out on the couch.
he's still passed out on the couch. And what is this is one of my favorite scenes.
Where she tases him,
She tases him to wake him up, and it's like a psst, and he kind of wakes up,
and then
but then he goes back to sleep.
yeah,
And then she takes the hot skillet of with
yeah,
the eggs in it
yeah.
and
After they're done cooking,
puts it on his face.
right? And then the worst thing is, I think it sits there for a minute. Honestly,
Yeah, yeah, it does.
and then you finally see his eye pop open, and he goes, "Ow!"
Like, oh my god, this like
Yeah,
he's like, what are you trying to do? Burn my eyeball?
right.
And so they sit down to have a nice little dinner. They're talking about the finances and how they're not able to get jobs or gigs.
That yeah, they're not getting enough, and that
Yeah,
the 45,000 they feel like they need to lower it to be able to get more jobs,
yeah,
but then if they lower it and it's still not meaningful because the 45 is just barely paying for everything.
yeah. And so they're sitting there in the
Which I want to point out right here
uh
too. So when
uh
she burned him with the frying pan, there's not a
yeah.
mark.
No, there's not a mark now.
So we'll go with that for now. You guys remember this, and as me and Mike keep covering it, you guys keep all
Yeah.
the times I point this crap out.
And so this scene where they're eating breakfast, I really like how it's animated.
Yeah,
Where he takes like I don't know if it's like bologna or like maybe like Canadian bacon, where it's like all still
I
wrapped up.
I think it's salami.
Is it salami?
I
Okay.
think that's
And
what
he
it is.
just like takes it, picks up, just rips, like bites a chunk out of it. And he takes his knife and he gets a pineapple, cuts it in half, and starts just eating the pineapple, like
Yeah,
half the pineapple.
yeah. He cuts it into fours, but we don't see the second cut.
Yeah.
And it's
He
weird how he's holding it and he's eating it like holding the stem of it and still
yeah.
eating it. And he doesn't even like take a bite out of the middle. He takes a bite off of the edge.
Yeah, I think he didn't even like take the skin off.
Yeah. Hey, this part kind of reminded me of like any time in Dragon Ball or Dragon Ball Z when we saw Goku
Uh-huh.
eat.
Yeah.
I was like, man, this guy can really eat.
Oh yeah,
And
no,
then
most
instead of
definitely.
like him having an actual cup for his coffee, it's the actual coffee pot.
Hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, if that doesn't tell you like part of the superhero inhuman vibes that Bean gives off, I don't know what
Yeah.
does.
Yeah, no, most definitely, most definitely with that. So then we get our
We
the
hop back.
people. Yeah, we hop back. Sorry, and we meet Percy, and Percy is, I think he's like a detective.
Yeah, he's the detective that's been working on the Roadbuster case
Yes,
for a
and
while.
he is a lot like our an Inspector Zenigata type of a character. For like, if you know who Inspector Zenigata is, he's like the foil for Lupin the Third.
Yes,
You know, he's the guy who's always going after Lupin, and he's trying to get Bean. And
which
this
which
scene,
Bean and
I had questions.
Bean and Percy's like
Uh, it's like a
chemistry
yeah.
together. Oh man, I have to
Oh,
agree.
it was really good. It
I
was
have
really
to
good.
agree with you on Lupin and
Yeah,
Detective Zenigata. Like
yeah,
spot on. Like I fucking love
yeah,
it. I
yeah.
was like, man, I think this is like what makes the show right here. Just their interactions together, because they
Oh no,
interact like off and on like
yeah,
7 times.
yeah. No, most definitely. He's like he's the one who wants to bring in Bean because Bean's doing kind of sort of illegal things. You know,
Right,
working for the mob, stuff like that. You know, and he's like, finally, I will get Bean Bandit. I'm gonna get the Roadbuster, and he has this nice like Shelby Cobra car. It's
yeah,
like blue. It's like just
right,
the cars in this look amazing.
right. Well, we learn later on that he actually bought it.
Hmm.
And I would reckon to say that even though Bean is kind of like his enemy, I guess you
Yeah,
would say that he actually puts a lot of stock in Bean because that's why he's like, I bought this car
yeah. He's
because
like, I'm gonna take him down. He's like my rival. He's like,
yeah,
you know,
yeah. And I mean, it sounded like because he was jealous of Bean's car.
yeah. And which begs the question: so this rivalry or this scenario has been going on for quite some time with Bean and Percy, right?
Right.
I'm guessing.
Has
How many
has to be. Has
how
to be.
many how many cars do you think Percy has gone through? What you think about it? Because what happens to his car in this? How many cars do you know think he could probably goes through?
I don't know. And I don't I
You
don't
know?
I don't know. I don't really know that cuz it seems like his car like gets fixed all the time too and I'm like
Not towards the end. Towards the end,
Isn't this like a couple days? Like, or
no, it's over. It's over the span of like a day.
yeah, but like the stuff that happens is like, over a couple days altogether.
No, I think it's just the span of a day.
So it's really confusing with that whole stuff of, like, hey, how does this
Yeah.
happen? Um, so
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I mean, it sounded like he said that it was new,
Mm-hmm.
and so it almost seems like this is the first appearance that we're
Mm-hmm.
seeing of the cars with this
Yeah.
movie.
Who knows?
But I find it funny with the guns
Uh
and the
huh.
cars where they actually point out like the make, model,
Oh
distributor, like all the
yes.
stuff. Whenever they talk about it, they
Yes.
point out this stuff, and I feel like it's almost like a fame thing with it.
Like
You have to know the entire description of it.
like a gun nut or like a car nut.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh
I mean,
yeah.
I would almost say like when this was made that any man that watched it they had to say every man is into guns, every man is
I
into cars.
think I
Let's
think
tell him
Kenichi's
exactly what it is.
I think Kenichi Sonoda himself is really into cars and guns
Oh, okay.
because that comes up in like Gunsmith Cats as well in like the anime.
Yeah,
So I mean I'm guessing that's one thing he really likes. 'Cause they put a lot of detail into the guns and into the cars in this.
that's true too.
So then we after no we kind of missed a part where we meet George Grimwood. No, sorry, Morris Gray and Chelsea Grimwood, and they have escaped from kidnappers supposedly,
Right.
and they are want to hire Bean Bandit to basically deliver the girl to the Grimwood family. I'm guess if I remember correctly.
Yeah, because they're on the run from the people that stole them.
Yeah, and
And
he's like, okay, 50,000.
this is like where we feel like it's the start of a perfect storm, but like we said earlier with the camera thing and whatnot, there
Mm-hmm.
was already the start of the perfect storm. You just don't catch on yet.
Yeah. So we meet them and we see these guys across the way at another building. They have Uzis, which
Which
aren't
which let
the
me ask you
best for
this let
weapons.
me ask you this too real quick
Uh huh.
because part of that threw me off.
Hmm.
So throughout the entire movie, we see the main bad guy chick,
Hmm.
we see the little girl with the colored hair,
Hmm.
and we see the truck driver guy, right?
Hmm.
Who
Hmm.
the heck was the fourth person?
I think you talking about the people with the guns.
Yeah, with the Uzis.
I think the people with the guns were part of the plan. Like they were a part of them, but they were kind of like expendable throwaway, maybe.
Okay, because I was sitting there thinking like maybe one of those guys was the truck driver too, but I
Possibly.
didn't
It's
go back
possible.
and relook at it.
Yeah. And so there are the win which the windows were already broken when they started shooting, but Rally like I guess she hears the guns cocking and they kind of
Oh,
move.
the windows weren't broken until they shot him.
Oh, were they? Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I must have missed that then. Okay. And so they shoot
No,
into
I think Bean hears it first, and then he
okay.
kind of signals to Rally, and then she gets
Okay.
ready, and that's when we see everything start going.
Okay. And so they shoot um Morris. He gets shot up all the bits.
Right.
And Bean like knocks over the chair that the Chelsea is sitting in because she's like knocked out and drugged to sleep. And Bean's just sitting there, getting shot. Rally's hiding in a corner, trying not to get shot as pieces of brick are
Disappearing.
getting disappearing, getting blown off.
Yeah, because she's trying to figure out when she can get a shot in.
Yeah, yeah, because she's like she's the hired gun basically.
Yeah.
She's really good with guns, and we get this really cool scene where Bean's getting shot, and we find out that he has bulletproof clothes. His clothing is bulletproof.
Which I don't even know about that. I don't
Why?
know. Because later on we see him actually get shot like point blank, and it still doesn't affect him.
Well, we'll get to that later.
So I don't. That was another thing is I didn't know if it was his clothes
Yeah, it's bullet. His clothes are bulletproof.
or if it was just his skin in general.
It's clothes are bulletproof because he gets cut later on.
Yeah.
But we see this really cool graphic scene. They take off to go deliver Chelsea to the Grimwoods because they're going to get a bunch of money for this job. And then what happens next?
It's when we jump back to uh, the little girl. I can't remember her name. I think it starts with a C. With the colored hair.
Carrie. Her name's Carrie.
Okay, so we go back to Carrie and is Grimwood, right?
Yeah, George Grimwood is Chelsea's father.
Yeah, and so we get George sitting in this room. Um,
He's
Chelsea walks in and brings him like food or
no
whatever.
Carrie. Carrie
Carrie,
brings him.
Carrie brings him food.
We must distinguish her name because
Well,
of what happens.
forgive us for this because I only ever hear them say Carrie right at the end of the damn movie.
Yeah,
So I was a
they
little
don't.
upset because I was like, how am I supposed to like write down who's who? So in all my notes I write PH for pink
Uh,
hair, just so
uh,
I know who I'm talking about. So I was like, and then they say her name at the end of the movie. I was like, I hate that they did that. Why can't you just
yeah,
say it like once at the beginning? Okay.
I think they do at the end of the scene. I think they do say her name.
Okay.
The woman says her name. But what happens in this
She tries
altercation?
she tries to give him food
Uh huh.
and stuff and says, "Hey, would you like mustard with that?" Really sweet. I mean, she's just like one of the sweetest characters I feel like, which is unnerving for who she actually is.
Yeah.
And then he says, "Well, I need to go to the bathroom." And she tells him, "Oh, well, I don't have keys for your cuffs or anything, but there's a little, I don't know, a portable potty thing underneath the table."
Something like that.
And
Yeah.
she's like, "Oh, she goes, do you need help?" He goes, "No, I can do this. Would you leave the room?" And she
Yeah.
keeps insisting on helping him and helping and helping him. And then she basically comes up on him and says,
And
"Oh, well, I
wants
can
like
help." Well,
she wants like suck his dick.
she unzips his pants and she starts lowering herself down to try and get closer. He pushes her away. He goes, "No,
Yeah,
not what I want."
she tries to like suck his dick.
Yeah,
And we'll just say this is probably one of the most disturbing things about
that character.
this this anime that I don't really care for.
Well, I know too, just a little bit that she's that way in Gunsmith Cats too, because
Is she?
I think there's a scene in there where she actually does sleep with somebody.
Is she
To
in Gunsmith Cats though?
Yeah,
You sure?
I'm pretty sure that's the other character.
I don't know about that. I don't think it's the same character.
Well, there's another character in there that I guess is kind of based off of all these
Well,
characters.
there's another character. I don't remember what her name is, but she's like a child prostitute.
Yeah, so it's kind of the same
Yeah,
situation. So that's
and
exactly what I thought with
she
this
basically
character.
pulls out a knife. She's like, "I'm gonna cut your dick off."
Yeah.
She's like, "I'm gonna cut your dick off," you because he like fucking like
Well.
backhands her.
So I wrote down this quote that she says,
Uh huh.
and she says, "I was just trying to be nice,"
Yeah.
and her being nice is giving a blowjob. And I was like, where did somebody go wrong?
Yeah, because she's a
And
child.
and her child rearing. I mean, she's got to be like 13 or 14.
Yeah, she's 13 or 14.
Yeah.
And then we meet they call her Simmer, but her name's Simmerling in this, it
Okay.
says. Simmerling is
Which I know he asked her too, like who they are to each other.
yeah.
And she goes, "Oh, we're lovers."
Yeah, they're lovers. And we meet Simmer. I'm just gonna call her that. And she's like, "Carrie, what are you doing? You shouldn't be doing that kind of stuff." And Simmer basically like beats the shit out of Carrie.
Yeah.
And then like kind of picks her up by the head and like kisses her and she's like
Yeah.
we find out they have a weird like mistress like submissive thing going on.
Yeah.
Like her whenever she like kisses Carrie, her whole demeanor like changes. She's like,
Yeah,
oh, okay, oh yeah,
yeah, and then
you
she
know,
like gets she puts a smile back on. She's really
yeah,
apologetic, and then she's like, "Oh, happy go lucky, everything's okay." So Simmer
yeah,
is like pretty abusive.
yes. And that's one of the things that I don't really care for about this anime.
Yeah,
Other than that, I love this anime.
right. Well, I mean, even just backing up like five
Yeah.
minutes with that, like whenever Carrie is talking to George,
Hmm.
when she's sitting there unzipping his pants and everything, she
Hmm.
actually says, "Well, Simmer never had a problem with this. She actually says I'm good," and that was
Yeah.
where you're like,
What?
"Hold on a minute."
Hold on, man. She got a wee wee. You know.
Well, I mean, that just filled it right there. Like, are you
Well, even
positive?
before that, with when they're talking to Morris, they remember they bugged Percy's something on Percy. They bugged
Hmm.
with his conversation, and you hear part of his conversation with Bean Bandit, and he's like, "Yeah, the Chelsea girl, she's probably in the child pornography ring now, you know."
Right? Yeah.
And
Which
yeah,
which I mean, is
bad.
uh, yeah. I mean, it's sexual trafficking.
Yeah,
Which
and
which I didn't
uh
catch it. I didn't back it up to care to hear it
huh.
again if I was right or not. But I feel at one point Percy says that maybe I can find that tape or something. Or Percy says something. I feel like it was really weird right there at that point too with
I
the
don't
tape.
know. I didn't. I don't know about that.
Like
I'm not
if
for sure.
and it kind of put a weird taste in my mouth about
Hmm.
Percy for a little bit
Yeah.
because I didn't know because it almost sounded like he said that he was attracted to little girls
Yeah.
to an extent.
Yeah. No, I get you. I get you. And so we go from that, and it doesn't Bean take Raleigh and Chelsea to the Grimoire, the Grimwood mansion,
Yeah,
correct?
yeah,
And we get this scene like, okay, open it up, open up the gates, and these barricades come up, and guys with machine guns show up, and we find out that nobody by Morrison, the name Morrison, has
ever worked there.
ever worked there.
Yeah,
And then before that, I think it is we find out that Morrison is not actually dead.
yeah. We
Correct?
we find out after they leave, Morrison is actually
The
what's
girl, she's actually Shimmer,
yeah, and
and
and we
uh,
find
uh,
out that they pre-planned a lot of stuff with this
mhm, yeah,
because she had these little things tied to her wrist,
she had squibs all put on her,
and so
which
whenever
makes it look like she gets shot.
yeah, and so she untied one and nothing happened, which was the
Uh-huh.
side that went off, and then she untied the other
Yeah,
one and it goes off.
I actually really like that scene. I thought the scene was funny.
Yeah, and then she takes the face off and spits
Yeah,
out the other
yeah.
voice.
We find out up there's Simmer. She's trying to put things in to plan or whatever. She has this elaborate plan to get all this money
Right.
from the Grimwood estate.
And frame being
Yeah,
for it.
yeah. And so we see these guys. They're all surrounding the car, and Bean's like, uh, "We got this girl here. You know, I got a tape. Here's my evidence. Like, just give me the money. Let's go.
Right.
And they're like, no, we're not going to give you the money. Nobody by that name works here. So they start like shooting. You find out Bean's car is bulletproof to an extent.
Yeah, to an extent.
And he uses his little sideways driving thing to where he
Oh,
runs a guy over.
so I wrote that down too. So the guy that he's talking to with
Uh
this,
huh.
I actually find this scene to be really cool.
Yeah.
He doesn't Bean doesn't like his car to be insulted at all.
Yes. Yes.
And so
He's
he
like,
goes like full salvo on this guy.
he jams a bunch of like pecans into his mouth.
He does to chill him out. Chill
Yeah.
himself out and doesn't put his teeth together. And he just
Yeah.
cracks them all and then drives and gets the guy pinned against a tree with the car.
And starts like revving the car and making tires go.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
held him there like you see in movies where it's two guys fighting. Another guy puts his like arm up on the
Hmm.
guy's throat and starts telling him like, "Hey, you're not going to do this or whatever." Bean does that with a car. Okay,
Yeah.
with a car. And then the other funny thing is he, like Mike said, he revs the engine up, and I don't know how he got it moved from where the guy was like behind the door to being under one of the wheels. But
Uh-huh.
he starts revving it, and the wheel starts going, and it shoots the guy up.
I think he put it in reverse.
Okay,
So like it kind of
but
threw the guy up over the car.
yeah, well, he gets the wheel going, and the wheel shoots
Yeah.
the guy up. He hits the branch and falls on the other side of the car.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, this was one of those like I feel like Bean kind of drives like a super robot without anybody
A
knowing.
little
You know,
bit.
like
Yeah. Yeah.
it just doesn't transform to be a human.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
And then we get this cool like mini chase scene where the guys are trying to shoot Bean Bandit's car, and they're like, "Oh my god, they got anti-tank guns." And Rally starts like naming off the guns or whatever, and
yeah, which we also find out that he knows how to drive on two wheels in the car.
yes,
So
yes, which
that
is
was
cool.
pretty cool driving around the thing.
And so he still has Chelsea in the car, and right as he's about to leave, Percy shows up in his Shelby Cobra, and he like Bean like kind of stops. He's like, "What, Bean Bandit? I'm gonna get you!" And he's like, "Hey, Percy, you got yourself a new car?
Right,
Cool."
right. So Percy hands him the evidence file against him and everything
Yeah.
else, and then whoever's got this big rifle or whatever
Uh
shoots it
huh.
again, hits one of the cop cars. Which I'm just gonna say, whatever town this is,
I think it's like Chicago.
they have got to go through a lot of fucking police cars because
I think they're
we
in. I
had
think they're in Chicago.
because we had the pile up,
Uh huh.
with the truck, which was like 8 police cars or so, 8 or 9,
Hmm.
and then we have the 2 police cars
Hmm.
uh, that got screwed up here from the elephant gun
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I honestly think we probably their department just over this time period went through like 100 cars.
Probably.
So
Yeah. Their insurance has to be like really good. You
who
know,
knows?
who knows?
Who
But
knows?
Percy gets a flat tire, and he's like, "God damn it, Bean Bandit!"
Right?
And Bean just drives off.
Yeah. Which Percy also just goes, he's one hell of a driver.
Yeah. True. Yeah. So what happens after that? After Bean leaves?
So then Bean leaves. We get the little scene where Percy's talking to him for a little bit,
Hmm.
and then they end up going to like this little gas station place that also has like a diner combined to it.
Yeah.
And man, we actually see Shimmer and
Hmm.
the truck driver pull up, and they have a conversation. He goes, "We're not going to make it there, basically, on what we have for gas. Let's just fill it up real quick,
Yeah.
and we'll go from there."
Yeah.
And then we kind of get this panel where it pulls out from the gas station part and flips around and goes back
And
forward.
Bean, Rally, and Chelsea are all eating.
They're about to eat. They
Yeah, they're
haven't
about to
started
eat.
yet. Which
Yeah,
I
because
wrote this down.
Chelsea really wants ice cream.
Yeah. So Chelsea, Bean looks at the lady, which is real cool. I love the idea of the old rollerblades and
Yeah,
stuff. Those diners and stuff.
like Sonic, like a Sonic thing.
Yeah, yeah. So he orders 30 ribs and a case of Bud.
Yeah,
So we definitely know that he's a Budweiser guy.
yeah,
Um, and then he asks Chelsea if she wants anything, and she kind of starts mouthing off where we know a little bit that she basically said she wanted a sandwich.
yeah.
But
She
then
wants ice
before
cream.
that, then the little girl goes, "I want strawberry ice cream and milk."
Yeah, yeah, milk. Yeah,
So
because before that they were trying to explain to her like we're not the bad guys.
yeah, and I think they end up getting done telling her at this little kind of pull-in restaurant place.
Yeah,
So
and then Bean's telling her like this happened like about the night before,
yeah,
and she's like, how could you get on camera? Blah, 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 this and that. And he's like, well, there was a semi truck blocking the road
Right.
and I had to go another way,
And
and
she starts asking him to she asks him to describe what it is to her,
mhm,
which I have this too. It's a Scania
yeah,
Scania red cab truck, and he says there's dents all up and down the side of it from the police cars hitting it.
yep.
And lo and behold, here we go.
Yeah,
They
we
pull
see the
out, and he goes,
what a coincidence.
"There it is, right there."
And so Bean Bandit races off to get this
Which,
truck.
can I throw that out? I feel like a lot of things happen with this with coincidences.
Yes.
Which, when we see them chasing the truck, and then
Hmm.
we get to the part where they actually blow up the truck and everything,
Hmm.
Shimmer ends up killing the person, killing the
And uses
driver.
him to make the pedals go.
Yeah, to keep going, and
Yeah.
then she climbs through the thing into the back with into the trailer and gets into a car.
Yeah, she's like in like a BMW, I think it is.
I think so too.
Something like that.
Which then we see the second cool mod of, well, I guess it's the third, since it's the the side tires
Yeah, and they drive the car
and the
out of the semi
bulletproof.
truck.
Yeah, they drive the car out over Bean's car,
Uh-huh.
and they realize they're headed for kind of like older movies that the bridges aren't finished or whatever. They're heading
Yeah.
for a dead end.
Hmm.
And Bean has these weird spike thingies that pop out of the wheels of his car.
It comes out of the hubcaps.
Yeah, and it they go in reverse, and it's to slow down the car.
Yeah, and it just rips up the road.
Right?
It's hence why they call him
I.e. Roadbuster.
Roadbuster, because which we never really see him use that again, but it is what it is.
Right. Yeah, we just see the side tires really. Um, and then we see them driving.
Hmm.
They Bean catches back up, and we
Hmm.
see that he's got another weird little mod on his car, which is for Riley.
Rally, yeah,
Rally.
rally,
Which is looks like a little gas cap hole that she can stick her hand out with the gun.
yeah. And she goes to shoot, but we find out that they have Chelsea's dad,
They have George.
George, held hostage, and Rally kind of like pauses with that moment, and we get this really cool like chase scene. Like this chase is one of the coolest
Right.
scenes ever. And fun fact: some of this chase was rotoscoped over the movie Blues Brothers.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So if you look, some of the cars are like from the Blues Brothers.
That's funny.
Yeah. I think it's mostly like the cop cars, I think.
Yeah. Well,
Um
so we get the whole part where we go back to Percy, and
mhm.
he's talking to his underling, I guess, the guy with the
Yeah,
glasses.
so yeah, like partner maybe, I
Yeah,
guess.
and he's telling him, and he's talking about like this really hard, in-depth stuff, and about
Mhm.
Bean and everything else. And you keep hearing him say like price about stuff, but he never
Yeah.
tells you. And then the guy kind of says, "Oh, it'll be okay, whatever." And
Mhm.
I think he says something like, "Oh, the police department will pay for it." And Percy grabs him and goes, "No, I'm talking about the car. The cover
Yeah.
cost me this much and this much time and this much for all the adjustments and everything else." And you just kind
And
of,
he like
what?
downs like a sandwich or like a hamburger, I think it is.
Yeah, and then he almost downs like a whole 2 ounce.
No, he does. He does. He downs like a whole gallon of soda.
Yeah. Oh man.
Which
So
I think it was Pepsi he downed. It looked like a Pepsi bottle.
I don't know. It was weird.
And he like spits it all out onto the guy.
Yeah, the foam.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the radio comes on. Oh, Bean Bandit has been spotted at
Yeah.
da 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 da, and they're sitting there, and he goes, "Yeah, let's go get him." And then he goes, "Wait, did they say da da da?" And
Da-da-da-da.
here comes the BMW and Bean right behind him.
Yeah, and you're like, Bane Bandit!
Yeah.
I'm gonna get you, Roadbuster.
So that was
And
one of the things I had to point out about this too, is all the coincidences of things happening,
yeah.
of them being at the same gas station, them coming on the same road as Percy,
Hmm.
Percy going to the mansion too. Like all this
Hmm.
other stuff is these weird coincidences. Like we have the overforced one with
Yeah.
Shimmer's plan
Uh
and
huh.
stuff, but then we have all these other ones that are kind of mixed in. You're like, this is
Yeah.
just like
Like a
overkill.
happy coincidence type of
Yeah,
thing,
this is like overkill.
Yeah, yeah. And then they have this awesome chase scene through the city, and they end up in a parking garage.
Right.
And Bean gets out, grabs his really fucking cool knife,
Yeah.
and he hears like this radio shimmers on like a radio type of thing,
Yeah, so
and
he runs away from the car.
yeah, and he gets the car, he gets the radio, cuts it with his knife, cuts it in half, finds out where she is, and she's in another car, and we get probably one of the coolest scenes in this,
Where she's trying to
where
shoot him in the back.
she's trying to shoot him, and he like throws his knife, and it goes through the car
Goes to the driver's side window.
and hits the other side of the passenger side door, takes that door completely off its hinges,
Yeah.
and goes to he
He
punches the car
he
and grabs it with his hands at the car door,
he punches through the window and grabs it.
and he punches through the bottom half of the car door as well. He rips off
Yeah.
the car, like the car door, and he's got like this like crazed like look in his eyes.
Yeah.
And is this when he gets shot in the head? Or
No.
he goes through the car and he's gonna stab her with his knife,
Right.
and she shoots him in the head. And this is where we find out one of the coolest things ever. He has a bulletproof headband.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
it's fucking cool.
he like
He
gets
gets shot in the
knocked
head.
he gets knocked senseless because he's like,
Oh yeah, he's like,
and then she hits him with the car, with the other car
yes,
she uh jerry rigged or whatever.
yeah. She hits him with the car.
Which I feel like if she wouldn't, he would have still been dazed. But she hit him with the
Yeah,
car and it knocked him back to his senses.
yeah. And as this is going on, Raleigh gets out of the car to go look because she hears the commotion. She
Well,
tells,
so right before that, I
uh,
know what makes people good people.
yeah,
So we have where the little girl actually asks Relly, if Bean is like a villain or whatever,
yeah.
or is
He's
he a
like,
good guy? And she says, Rowley tells her,
mm-hmm.
well, of course he's a good guy. He watches 2 films a week that feature heroic themes. I was
Yeah,
like, if that's all it takes to be a good guy, holy shit, we're all good guys here and there.
yeah. He has a code where he like doesn't hurt women, basically women or children. I think it is, or children. I think it is.
Yeah.
And so Raleigh is out, and um, she's looking for Bean, and then
Actually, you know what? When I asked you the thing about the machine gun thing earlier,
uh,
actually, this guy might be the fourth guy. Or the
is
other
it
guy. It
okay?
could be,
Okay,
yeah.
okay, that makes sense then.
Because I didn't even think about this guy, like, being in it at all.
Oh yeah, that makes he has such a short part in the
Yeah, because
OVA.
we don't even really see him until the car scene where
Yeah,
the car comes out of the truck.
yeah, and so this guy has Chelsea held hostage, and Rowley's like getting ready to shoot him, and he's like, "No, don't shoot me. I'll blow her fucking brains out," basically.
Right,
And he's like, "Okay, put your hands up, hold the gun by the barrel, throw it over to me,
right.
put your hands on your head," type of thing.
Put your right hand
She,
on your head, you
yeah,
know.
stuff like that, and she takes it and she like throws something, and he thinks it's the gun, but it's her. It's the clip, the gun, the clip for bullets.
Yeah,
And he's like, "Huh? What?" And you see the gun go up in the air. She catches it and she like, pew, like shoots him right in the fucking head.
yeah.
That's a fucking awesome scene. I love that scene.
It was cool.
That was cool.
It was
That was
definitely
cool.
cool.
That was cool.
I love that scene.
Yeah.
And then we go back to Shimmer and Bean,
And Bean.
and we have this weird moment. I forgot who says it. So one of them says like this joke,
Mm-hmm.
and they both get this weird, awkward laugh going together,
Yeah.
like they're old
Um.
friends.
Mm-hmm.
Um, well then Chelsea,
No,
right?
Carrie.
Carrie. So then
Carrie.
Carrie runs up, and
No,
Shimmer,
he first he gets the car. Like tries to run him over again, and
that's right,
he picks up the front of the car
with his shoulder.
with his shoulder, and he's like holding this car like with his hands. And he like
Yeah,
flips the car.
yeah, and
So
that's where the awkward laugh comes
yeah,
when he
and so
picks up the car.
so Shimmer is like in this car. Gasoline's coming out, and Bean's getting ready to fucking like murder this woman, and Carrie's like, no, don't do it, don't kill her.
I'll tell you where
And
the money
I'll
is.
tell you where the money is. She tells him where the money is, and Shimmer's like, "You fucking little bitch!" Like, and she shoots Carrie, and that's when the car blows up and kills Shimmer, and then kind of
See,
Bean kind of gets hurt.
I thought he tried to shoot, or I thought the gun that she used blew up and made the
No, I don't
car
think.
blow up.
I don't know
Because I was
exactly.
confused on the part where he told Carrie, where at the end, where he goes,
Hmm.
you know why that happened or whatever.
Yeah,
I was like, but he doesn't have a gun.
maybe I don't know. I mean, I thought she
And he
inadvertently.
points at the cut on her arm, so I wasn't.
I think she inadvertently killed Sherry.
Maybe maybe that was her gun.
Maybe.
Because didn't she have a gun too?
I think so.
And then she threw it away because she didn't want Bean to hurt Shimmer.
Yeah, and then Sherry or Shimmer, I think, got the gun and tried to
Yeah,
kill Carrie.
and that's when it blew up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and Bean Bandit gets the money. I'm guessing, and tells Carrie, what was it like? Did he ask her if
Which,
she wanted to
yeah, if
come with him?
she wanted to go with him or whatever. Which I
Yeah,
was a little confused on the part too. Like we assumed that he got the money, but then it
yeah,
also sounded like he talked to George when they dropped off his daughter to him,
uh huh.
and said, "Hey, would you wire me?" Like it sounded like he asked him for $2 million or whatever too.
Maybe.
So I mean that means they would have $4 million.
I guess I don't know.
But
I
that's
thought they would get the money.
yeah, that's what it sounded like he said. And then I love the part where he kind of told George, he goes, keep me in mind or whatever. Da, da, and if you
Yeah.
need your next ride will be at a discount. And I was like, that's so great.
He's basically like the ultimate Uber.
Yes. Yes.
And then our no, we see Percy and the cops outside being like, Bean Bandit's gonna get it. And they're like, Bean Bandit, come out to play.
Yes. Then it totally went college.
And then
Everybody chanting at the game.
yeah. Like, come on, Bean Bandit, let's go, And he's like, this city's gonna be fun. I think the city's gonna be fun. And that's where our movie ends.
Yeah, because she asked him if they should move or not, and he starts
Yeah.
naming off all this stuff. He goes, "It's gonna be wonderful. Let's stay."
Yeah, let's stay here. So as a whole, what did you think of this OVA?
I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, it's good, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there was probably a couple things like the wow factor probably outweighs the little things that I had problems with, but
Uh-huh.
that's about it.
Yeah. No, this is one that I watched back in college. A friend of mine showed it to me.
Yeah.
It's one that I would love to have in my collection. It got re-released on Blu-ray
Hmm.
by I think it was Animego. Because I think they did Gunsmith Cats as well. We released that. And this is one that I would love to revisit it every couple years because it's just so well done. Like it's well animated. The characters are fun. The action scenes are like top of the line, like really good action scenes.
Right.
And like I wish there was more of this. Like I know we have the OVAs for Gunsmith Cats,
Yeah.
and that is a little different. Like Rowley looks a little different in that. She's a bounty hunter, I think, in that one.
Yeah.
and Bean is he drives for like the mafia, I think it is. You know, so it's a little different than writing Bean, but I really wish, I wish like this got re-released on the manga and like Gunsmith Cats got re-released. You know, this is I think is one that people would really enjoy, and like I think it's one that really does get overlooked sometimes with newer anime fans.
Yeah.
But when you show it to people, I think people usually like get into it
Right.
because it
Which
just
which let's plug it right here for that.
uh huh.
So if you guys would like to watch this
Hmm.
and get to know that after you've had our commentary and everything with it, then you can actually check it out on Retro Crush.
Yeah, Retro Crush.
It's free. There's like 2 commercials
Hmm.
on this episode or whatever.
Uh,
I mean, it's not going to cost you anything. So I mean, you can have
no.
a fun time watching part of the old stuff that's really good out there.
Yeah, yeah, and it's really Retro Crush is actually really cool. I watched it on my computer. There is an app for it. You know, they have both
Yeah,
subbed and dubbed
I
as
watched it on my
well.
phone.
Yeah, you
So
did.
yeah,
Oh, you did. Yeah, because I tried to watch it on my PlayStation, but like the app, the website wasn't working that well on the
yeah,
PlayStation, so I just pulled it up on
yeah.
my laptop,
Well,
and I love
I
this
I
movie.
watched it on my phone because I kept walking around. So like
Okay.
I was sitting in my living room for a little while, and then I sat at the desk, and
Uh
then
huh.
I went to the bathroom.
Uh huh.
And then I went in, I laid down on my bed, and I was watching it for a little while because my phone was about to die, so I had to let it charge to finish out like the last 10 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn it.
Yeah. No, this is a fun action anime, and I think it shows like what older anime can be when they have money behind it and stuff like that. You know,
Yeah,
because there's a stigma behind old anime where like with new people, it's like, oh, it's not as good, well animated and stuff like that.
yeah,
You know, I beg to differ. You fucking show them this show, the
right.
Being Bandit. You know,
I definitely think that this also makes like older things where it doesn't really like everybody's really on equal terms and what you like could be. You know,
yeah.
this is somebody like I feel like if you showed a kid this movie or whatever, um,
Mm-hmm.
maybe not the prostitution parts
Maybe not the
or
prostitution part.
the
You know,
weird
I don't
parts like
know.
that,
Yeah,
but you know, you'd have kids say, "Oh yeah, I can be that kind of hero or whatever."
yeah,
Because I mean, that's the other thing is it's almost like a Tony Stark. Like if you had money or anything, or even somebody that could sew your clothes really well and make sure that they're bulletproof and things like that, and you work out, like
yeah,
you too could be a bean bandit. You know, like
yeah,
that's kind of what I liked about this too is there wasn't really anything that blew it out of the water, at least for being as a hero or an anti-hero, whatever. I would consider him just a hero.
yeah.
Um,
Reluctant hero, maybe.
for what an actual person could do, because somebody could modify a car or whatever. I mean, there
Hmm.
could be somebody that's a bean bandit out there right now.
Yeah,
So
yeah. It's most definitely like a must watch, and it's not like that long of a movie. It's only 45 minutes long. You know, and you get a full story within
and
this
it's
one.
honestly it's even less than that. So
Yeah, yeah. You don't have to watch the ending, like the credits. You know,
yeah, I
but
mean,
yeah,
so basically it's like a 40-minute movie.
yeah.
So
Would you recommend this to people?
I would definitely recommend this to
Yeah,
people. Yeah,
yeah,
I thought it was really good, and I agree with you. I feel like I would have liked a little more, or probably to have it extended out to maybe an hour and a half movie or
yeah,
something like that. Um,
yeah.
just
I
because
would.
I did feel like there was some stuff left out that I would have liked to enjoy or had a little
Yeah,
more character fleshing.
yeah, yeah. No, true,
Because I
true.
mean, I wanted to see Bean eat those 30 ribs. Okay,
Yeah.
so
Like no, Kenichi Sonoda always makes really interesting worlds,
yeah,
and I like a lot of the stuff he does. I've only read a little bit of Gunsmith Cats. I think it was the sequel to Gunsmith Cats that I read a little bit of because I found like one volume of manga,
yeah,
but it's been like severely out of print from Dark Horse. If
Yeah,
Dark Horse.
because originally I think like the first two got printed by Tokyo Pop, and then
Yeah.
Dark Horse ended up picking it up. So you can
So,
buy it in a 5 series omnibus set.
yeah. Yeah, and those are severely out of print.
Yes.
And but like, you know how like they've been releasing those deluxe editions?
Yeah.
I would love for a Gunsmith Cats deluxe edition,
Yeah.
which
That'd be
would
cool.
include Writing Bean,
That's
like
true.
the Writing Bean manga,
Yeah.
which that would be so awesome. Like I would buy those in a heartbeat. But who would buy them like other than like me and maybe like uh uh Papa Weeb. you know?
There'd be a lot of people buy them.
Maybe.
If you went, there's a
Maybe.
new manga coming out. Would you want it? And then people would start being like, "Oh, let me start watching all these old things." Oh, do
Yeah.
you think the Otakuology podcast has an episode where they talk about it? I think so.
Dark Horse, if you're listening, and you're probably not, I need a reprint of
Well, let's not say
this.
that. I would say if you're not listening yet,
If you're not listening yet,
you probably
we
should be.
we want Gunsmith Cats the manga reprinted in
so
deluxe editions.
so yeah, and
Yeah,
if you would like to sponsor us.
yeah, that would be cool. Sponsor us. I buy enough of your comic books anyways.
That's true. That is true. I think you almost have one of all of them.
Yeah.
So, Jesus.
But anyways, guys, thank you for listening. I personally really enjoyed this. It's a fun. Other than the child prostitution, this is a solid movie.
Yes.
Um, but check us out on all major podcast platforms: Google, Apple, Spotify. Um, I think that's all of them. Anchor. But go check us out. You can check me out on my YouTube channel, Otaku Mike. You can check Jin out on his channel, Jin Graves. And we also have a YouTube channel where we upload our episodes to the YouTube channel as well
Right.
on Otakuology Podcast. And if you have any questions or concerns, you can email us at otakuologypodcast.com.
And
Stay tuned
send us
for
questions. We like those.
send us questions. We like questions to answer on the podcast. And don't forget to rate and review us on whatever podcast platform you're on. It actually helps us grow in the end. If you want to help us, the best way to help us is to share the podcast and tell people about our podcast.
Share, like, support.
Share, like, support. And if you want to check out our store or for products, we'll leave a link down below in the podcast description as well. So go check us out.
Right.
Thanks for listening. And when will they see us next, Jin?
Well, before that, you always have to remember one thing.
What?
Even you can watch 2 heroic films a day and be a good person.
That's true.
Or a week. But anyway, you guys will see us next Tuesday. Thanks for listening.